Hello everyone, this is JJ. In this match, I will share my experience of participating in two competitions of Sylph League. So the theme of the Sylph League in this month is Rainbow Cup. It is the first time ever it allows people to choose more than 4 types of Pokemons in the match. So in this month, it allows people to choose fire, electric, bug, grass, and water type Pokemons to battle each other. The first time ever it allows 5 types of Pokemons to participate in a match. And it is also the first time ever to restrict the Pokemons to be from certain generations. And in this month is the restriction is on people can only take Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemons into their matches. And I think probably it is also the first time ever it allows legendary Pokemons and mythical Pokemons to battle each other. I'm not sure about whether they were allowed in January, but probably the first time ever they are allowed. So the first competition I participate in the month was in downtown Toronto competition, and it was the first ever time I participated in a match in a competition in the Greater Toronto area out of the Waterloo region. And anyway, my first opponent in downtown Toronto competition was holding Mark Gron. So I can highlight here, he eventually won the whole competition, which means I lost to him in the first round. I should say in my first match. And the uniqueness of his team lies in his Bayleaf, right? And because usually I very, very rarely see people using Bayleaf in their matches. Usually they would choose Meganium instead of Bayleaf, and actually most people would choose Venusaur followed by Exeggutor rather than Meganium, because Exeggutor is efficient against Venusaur, and Venusaur is Sludge Bomb is efficient against any grass type Pokemons. So that is why Venusaur is actually the most popular choice among trainers. My uniqueness lies in I chose both Venusaur and Exeggutor. Just because if my opponent doesn't have Exeggutor, then I can consider using Venusaur. If my opponent has Venusaur without having Exeggutor, then I can consider using Exeggutor, because Exeggutor's psychic type quick move is efficient against poison type, which means Exeggutor is efficient against Venusaur. I think I am the only trainer in the Greater Toronto area and Waterloo region using both Venusaur and Exeggutor in a match. But I use both of them just because of my consideration as mentioned just now. So the first match. Okay, my first match. In the first round, I chose Venusaur, and then Charizard and a Lantern. So 1 grass plus Charizard plus Lantern is usually my typical pick for my first round of one match. So why do I pick grass as my starter? Because there are usually people would pick 3 water type Pokemons. Yes, and for example, my opponent actually has 3 water type Pokemons, and I was thinking probably using water is a better choice because he is more likely to use water as the starter, as his starter. Using Lantern is very important because electric type move is efficient against water type Pokemons, right? And just as you can see here, Lantern electric charge move just was very efficient against Azumarill. Okay, Lantern's charge move is Thunderbolt. I use Thunderbolt as my Lantern's charge move because it takes less time to charge the charge move, and Lantern's electric moves are efficient against Charizard. Every time my opponent has a Charizard, I would consider use Lantern. So that is why. And Lantern is efficient against water, and he used two water type Pokemons, right? I think he didn't use Quagsire just now, but anyway, my team was, just way I couldn't say way better, but just my picked Pokemons were more efficient against his picked Pokemons just now. And now this is the second round. I won the first round, and now I'm trying to at that time I was trying to change my team, and eventually I changed the team as you just saw, and now I chose Quagsire to start. And here Quagsire was a very good start against Charizard. I don't know why, but I see many people would use Charizard as their starter in their second round match. So using Quagsire probably was, just because of that consideration, I chose Quagsire. But here, I made a very big mistake. No, not a mistake. Because grass was efficient against Quagsire, so I switched my Pokemon to Venusaur, and Venusaur couldn't be switched because I didn't get my right to switch a Pokemon again, so my Venusaur died inevitably, and I brought Lantern forward, trying to use electric type charge move to defeat Charizard. And here it is. I still had. Okay, so here I think I shouldn't have used Water Gun because Water Gun took a longer time to charge, and my opponent still had 2 shields, and he would very likely block my move, and I didn't really get enough time to just allowed my opponent to shorten my advantage. And here I was forced to use my last shield because I knew he would use earthquake. For now, I didn't really know, but I was just forced to block there. And for now, I just don't know why I eventually lost here. Probably just because I used the water gun, and that I think using water gun just now was a major reason why I lost my second round, because I allowed my opponents to trace back 2 or 3 seconds, and if not, then probably my Quagsire and his Quagsire could probably reach the same, could finish charging their charge move at the same time, and I didn't really know who would be able to release their charge first at that point. But anyway, I shouldn't have used water gun from my lantern there. And in the final round, I chose Quagsire to start again. I should have chosen a grass type Pokemon here, but anyway, they are not kind of. That was still a good choice, right? And here my opponent used the same strategy using Bayleaf to fight against my Quagsire, and I was forced to switch to Bayleaf, and my Charizard is just waiting to die, kind of. But my Charizard still had 2 shields. Not sure about which Pokemon. Oh, okay, it's Lantern. I have to say, that glitch was very bad because I didn't really know which Pokemon was brought forward. If I knew it was Lantern, I wouldn't have shield myself, and now I have wasted both of my shields. Just sometimes a glitch can kill you. And now I didn't really have any shields, and my original strategy was only use 1 shield for Charizard, but I eventually wasted both of them on Charizard. Lantern is good and efficient against Mantine, but if my Lantern has 1 shield against Quagsire, then I don't believe I would have eventually lost this round. But anyway, I died eventually, and I eventually lost my first match by winning the first and losing the second and the third round. Okay, so the team of my second match, my second opponent was Kukani, and his team was Quagsire, Lantern, Ninetales, Venusaur, Florichas, and Slowbro. I didn't expect people to use Ninetales actually, but actually he used Ninetales. I was unfamiliar with Ninetales at all at that time. So, and Slowbro had Ice Beam, and sometimes Slowbro can turn his disadvantage against Venusaur back because Ice is efficient against grass. And if Venusaur and Slowbro both don't have a shield, and Slowbro finishes his charge first, then Venusaur would die for sure. So basically, using Slowbro is, I think it is a fair choice for trainer. But anyway, let's see how the match went. So my typical pick of team is a Grass plus Lantern plus Charizard. In this case, I picked Exeggutor as my first, as my starter, is because he has Venusaur without having Exeggutor. Then why don't I pick? Why should? Then I would definitely pick Exeggutor. And my typical strategy is to choose Grass type Pokemon as my starter in my first round of match. And now I'm just waiting for my opponent to finish his pick. Okay, the match starts. So my Exeggutor was against Quaxile, so it was double efficient again. But the Grass type is double efficient against Quaxile, so it was good, and he was forced to bring up Venusaur. I think he switched around Pokemon actually. Here I made a mistake because his Venusaur used Sludge Bomb. And at that time, I didn't really know Poison was efficient against Grass, and I didn't use a shield. But anyway, he couldn't switch his Venusaur, so my Charizard can just easily kill it without using a charge move. So I saved some charge moves here, and waiting to see his opponent. My next one. Here but the good thing of not using a shield at that time was I had 2 shields for Charizard, and I eventually used one. And here I shouldn't have used Blast Burn because he has still 1 shield, and I should use Dragon Claw to try to force him to use his last shield. Right, and here I don't know why he didn't use a shield here, because his Ninetales can easily just burn my Forrestress to die, and not sure. Probably he just wanted to keep one shield for his probably favorite Quaxile. But now he doesn't have a shield, and Dragon Claw can kill it. Oh, he has? Okay, he has. Anyway, but now it is very dangerous, right? Because what if the Quaxile can charge himself, and even though he didn't really have time to charge himself, but anyway, it was a very close match. Again, I won the first round. Now I'm just reading his team and trying to think what I should use in my second round. Usually, one's opponent would predict the person would not change his team after a win, but I just don't want my opponent to be able to develop a team to fight against me, and eventually I lose just because I didn't change my team. So I was thinking about how I could change my team. Not sure what I thought at that time, so let me see what I eventually used. His team, because I won the first round, so I didn't really know what his 3 Pokemon team can beat me, right? And I make some changes. I probably just randomly changed the team, and eventually in the second round I used Lantern first, and I was forced to switch my Pokemon to Charizard, and he eventually used Quagsire. I was stupid in using Blast Burn again. I should have used Dragon Claw, just because Quagsire has shields. If I use Blast Burn, then I would just lose 2 seconds of advantage, I think, or 1 second. That was very unwise. And here, Blast Burn, I lose probably now I have lost 4 seconds of advantages. Very, very unwise. And now I was able to use Blast Burn, and if I had used Dragon Claw, then by saving it, probably the results would be the same. I don't know. But strategically, when my opponent has a shield, I should have used Dragon Claw rather than a Blast Burn. And here I used Sludge Bomb because Sludge Bomb was efficient against grass, even though poison is not efficient against poison. Okay, so what would he use at last? So I was right in choosing Sludge Bomb because grass won't cause much damage to Ninetales, but anyway, my Venusaur was close to a defeat. And at that time I should have realized Ninetales was very dangerous, and I had to make sure my pig wouldn't have grass and bug type Pokemons at the same time, because fire can just burn them to die. Burn them into ash. So what eventually did I choose? I chose Charizard to start first because he chose Venusaur to start first just now. So that was my justification. And I used my first round team but chose Charizard to start first. I think I just chose Venusaur rather than Exeggutor. Probably I was still in the scare of being KO'd by an Venusaur Sludge Bomb on my Exeggutor in my first match. It turned out to be Not wrong. Fire against fire. So when my opponent has 2 shields, oh, okay, so I was right in using Dragon Claw, and my opponent blocked my charge move. And here, I blocked Side Shock. Here I think I was wrong not using Dragon Claw first. And also stupidly used Blast Burn. Not stupid, because he didn't block here or there. Probably he wanted to save 1 shield for one of his later Pokemons, and here Ninetales managed to finish a charge, and Psyshock was cam, and I was right not blocking the move. I was forced to switch my Pokemon here, but Slowbro has Ice Beam, right? And let's see. Okay, so Seed Bomb actually charges very quickly, so it was very efficient against Slowbro. But Slowbro's Ice Beam was efficient against Executor, and I probably was just thinking about saving 1 shield for one of my favorite Lantern. But Lantern is weak against Venusaur, so it was almost an inevitable result that I would eventually lose this round and eventually the match. So this was my 2nd consecutive match in which I won the 1st round and lost the 2nd and the 3rd. Okay, so my 3rd round, 3rd match. Okay, 3rd match opponent was El Canadiano, and his team has Venusaur, Charizard, Raichu, Quagsire, Forechess, and Mantine. And his team probably has a unique one, which is Raichu, but I don't think he used Raichu for any of the 3 rounds I played with him. So basically I missed recording the 1st and the 2nd round, and we got 1-1, so I won the 1st round and he won the 2nd round, but I managed to record the 3rd round. So now let's have a look at the 3rd round. But before that, I just want to mention again, I chose to use Executor, Charizard, and Lantern for my 1st round, and I won again. So I really think a grass type plus Charizard plus Lantern is probably very good as a choice for the 1st round of a match. Though I don't have an expertise in choosing the 2nd round and the 3rd round Pokemon. Okay, let's see what will happen here. he's still Executor as the starter. And very unfortunate, he used Fortress as the starter. So I was forced to switch Pokemon, and I used Charizard. And again, I was wrong in not using Dragon Claw here. So I was right in blocking Aerial Ace, because Aerial Ace would actually cause an obvious damage to Charizard. Here I think I didn't block, and you can see how terrible the damage was, and I was wrong that I didn't click Dragon Claw to kill to give some damage to Manton. Actually, here probably Venusaur would be better, right? But so there could be a debate in whether we should use Executor or Charizard. Executor or Venusaur. I believe. He could have saved more energy to use Blast Burn, right? But he didn't. So actually, I managed to give more to get some disadvantage back, but even though with the help of an earthquake, I think I still failed. I think there was just one thing I did wrong. Just didn't use Dragon Claw at the beginning, but used Blast Burn and wasted 2 seconds, I think. So if you use Charizard, please remember, if your opponent has a shield, I highly recommend you consider using Dragon Claw rather than Blast Burn. But actually I had a debate with my brother, and he thinks sometimes the opponent doesn't really use a shield for Charizard, because usually people would think the first time Charizard releases a charge move, and that move would be Dragon Claw, so they would not block it. And the second time, and if the Charizard uses a Dragon Claw, then it means that bet was won, because Dragon Claw doesn't really cause a significant damage to, for example, Quagsire and Fortress. So, but usually what I noticed was people usually would block Charizard's first released charge move. And in that time, so if you have the Charizard and you release a charge move with your opponent having a shield, then I think probably it is. My argument is you use Dragon Claw, because you would try to force your opponent to waste their shield, or to use up their shields as quickly as possible. And actually, Dragon Claw doesn't really just cause a very small damage. Even for Quagsire, the damage was obvious. With one shield, Charizard can... If Charizard keeps using Dragon Claw, and if your Charizard has one shield, by using that shield, and assuming your opponent's Quagsire doesn't have a shield, then when your Charizard dies, then your opponent's Quagsire actually doesn't have much energy left as well. So, but if your opponent's Quagsire doesn't have a shield, please remember to use Blast Burn, because Blast Burn really causes a huge damage to Quagsire, even though fire type moves are not supposed to be very efficient against Quagsire. But Blast Burn is just huge, a super powerful move. Even though it is inefficient against Quagsire, Quagsire can lose, I think, approximately half of its full energy. So when your opponent has a shield, I suggest, if your opponent's Quagsire has a shield, your Charizard may just keep using Dragon Claw. If your opponent's Quagsire doesn't have a shield, your Charizard should use Blast Burn. So that's my opinion on, when there is only Charizard and when there is only Quagsire, and what should you do. Oh, I forgot to mention. Very unfortunately, that was my third consecutive match in which I won the first round and losing the second and the third, which made me very upset and very disappointing at that moment. And I was thinking, would I suffer a 1-2 loss in my final round? And let's see what will happen in my fourth round. Okay, my fourth round opponent was Kai Dare. So his team was Venusaur, Charizard, Lapras, Quagsire, Meganium, and Ariados. So his team, I couldn't say uniqueness, but using Lapras and Meganium, I would say not quite often among trainers, but definitely using Ariados was quite unique. I don't think I have ever saw a team using Ariados in the in the Greater Toronto area and Waterloo region. So, but anyway, he didn't really use it, but probably just tried to use a poison type and bug type Pokemon to scare me off. To use what? Probably he wanted me not to use Executor because poison is efficient against grass. But Venusaur is grass as well, but it has Sludge Bomb. So probably he just wanted to use aerial dose to kind of force me not to use Exeggutor, but just use Venusaur, so that he could use Venusaur without a concern, probably. Lapras, even though Lapras now has legacy moves, Ice Shard and Ice Beam, but the problem of Lapras is Lapras doesn't really have a strong water type charge move. It has Surf, but Surf is a weak charge move. Meganium, I think the reason why he chose to use Venusaur and Meganium at the same in the same team was because he was thinking if there is no Exeggutor, he would probably just keep using Venusaur. If there is an Exeggutor, he would use Meganium. But the problem is that Venusaur is kind of efficiently against its Meganium, and my Exeggutor is efficient against its Venusaur. I mean overall, just overall with the same number of shields, then that is the case. So that is why I said that is why I used both Venusaur and Exeggutor, so that they won't know which one I would eventually use. I think that's my comments on his team. In this round, I think this is the only first round in which I didn't use a grass type. Oh, I think I still used a grass type as the starter, but I chose Venusaur because I was thinking Venusaur is efficient against Meganium, and Venusaur is even with Venusaur. So I chose Venusaur as my starter. Okay, so the match starts, and my opponent was quite brave in choosing Charizard as the starter. I was forced to change my Pokemon to Lantern, and at this moment I got a glitch. I just couldn't do anything, and I told my opponent to restart the game by using the same Pokemons. And as you can see, I couldn't really do anything, so it was indeed a glitch. So I didn't cheat, and especially later I still Okay, so I just said I didn't cheat because there was indeed a true glitch, and and I didn't cheat here because I still chose Venusaur to be the starter, even though I knew it would use Charizard again, and I was in disadvantage. But I should just keep the match fair because I chose Venusaur first before, so at that time I chose Venusaur again. Okay, but in this way, in this time, I more quickly changed my Venusaur to Lantern, and I just didn't know why my opponent didn't switch Pokemons, because I switched my Pokemon, so he should have switched into a grass type Pokemon to quickly kill my Lantern, but he just didn't do that. So that was a very big mistake for him. Okay. He did a very late switch, and he didn't really switch into a grass type Pokemon, but just a Quaxile. Quaxile was efficient against electric, but I had shield. I didn't need to care about it too much. Here I used Hydro Pump just to bet he would not use a shield, and he was killed. So, well, I just thought he was making some mistakes, and you see, he has grass type Pokemon, but he didn't really use it. And he could have KO'd my Lantern like 1 minute ago, but he didn't do that, and now my Charizard comes out and can just force it to use up his shield. He had a Quaxile, but why didn't he switch his Quaxile back? Oh, okay, his Quaxile died, and his Charizard was KO'd by my Charizard. Well, he won't. He wasted his huge advantage by not changing his Charizard into a Venusaur. So basically, he should have won, but he gave the win to me. Well, I definitely very welcome the gift, I would say. That was definitely a gift, because I would say I was doomed to lose, but he gave me a gift. Then what I could do was just accepting it and taking the advantage, right? So in the second round, considering it would use Charizard again, I chose Lantern as my starter. And I guessed right. Let me see. Okay, he was smart at that time to choose Pokemons like that, and I was wrong to switch. Lantern into Charizard. I just didn't know what I was thinking about. But here you can see how Dragon Claw can. Oh, okay, he blocked my Dragon Claw. But keep using Dragon Claw could quicken your opponent's use of his or her shields. And okay, but you can see the damage caused by Dragon Claw is obvious, even though it was not big. But Dragon Claw can be very quickly charged, and I forced it to use both of his shields for his Quaxile. Even though my Charizard sacrificed eventually, but see how much damage I caused to his Quagsire, right? Here I just didn't really know what, this is kind of a glitch. What I can do was trying my best because I had already won a round, and probably even though I cannot see what my opponent's Pokemon is, I could probably still win. And I saw, because that was efficient, so I knew it was a Lapras. And you can see Lapras serve is it's simply a garbage. Just cannot do anything to water type Pokemon. And I don't recommend Lapras to anyone. Okay, and his Charizard was KO'd by my Thunderbolt. Finally, at the very end, I eventually won 2 consecutive runs, and that was my only win in the downtown Toronto match. Very unlucky. I was thinking at least 2 rounds, in at least 2 matches, I could have won by not using Blast Burn, but using Dragon Claw when my opponent has a shield. So, this is a lesson. I hope you can learn from my failure.